Today we will be talking about the Assessment in Learning, Chapter 3, the social, legal, and ethical implications of tests. Now, there are criticisms of testing. One is invasion of privacy. Two is creation of anxiety and interference in learning. Three is ethical testing principles, ethical testing practices, and unethical testing practices. First, we will be talking about the invasion of privacy. So, it is said that whether tests represent an invasion of privacy or not depends in part on how they are used to. Okay, so when children are involved, the invasion of privacy is somewhat more complex. Okay, legally, the school's function is to act as parents while the child is at school. And in such cases, teachers, as parent substitute, can require the students to take tests where the objectives are agreed upon by the school board. On the test, administrators rest the responsibility of constructing and using the test prudently. Okay, so here are the right to privacy according to the Anastasi and Urbina in 1997. Okay, so, purpose of testing, relevance of information, informed consent, and confidentiality. Okay, now um, we'll talk about the implication for teaching. Okay, this is according to Trace in 1976. So, teachers cannot post the grades of students. Okay? So, alam natin to. Bawal tayong mag-post ng mga cards or ng mga grades ng mga students natin in any social media platform. And teachers cannot display the works of their students as an example of poor or excellent work. And teachers are not allowed to let the students grade or correct any other student's paper. So, dapat talaga si teacher ang nag-grade, nagbibigay ng grade at nagko-correct ng mga papers ng mga students. Okay, so implications for teaching, as this is the continuation, cannot ask students to raise their hands to determine if they answered correctly or incorrectly to any item. Okay, and teachers cannot distribute test paper in a manner that will permit other students to observe the scores of others. Okay, future educators, please understand all this. This is very important. Okay, teachers cannot assume that letters of recommendations requested by students will be kept confidential. Number two is the creation of anxiety and interference in uh, testing. Okay, according to Feldhausen in 1964, 80% of his respondents stated that tests help them learn more. Okay, I repeat, tests help students to learn more. Okay, and according also to Rodman in 1977, he found out that teachers and administrators favor giving out of tests, especially achievement test. Okay, dito na po nangyayari yung mga strategy kung paano makakuha ng malaki ang entire student tree. Okay? And according to Kirkland in 1971, in his study, the following conclusions regarding tests were reached based on the relationship between anxiety and learning. One, a mild degree of anxiety usually facilitates learning. Okay, parang na-exercise yung mga nerves nila when they feel anxious. Okay? Whereas a higher level of anxiety hinders learning in most cases. So, wag naman yung sobrang anxious na talaga yung bata. Hindi na siya, wala ng learning na ma-occur. Okay? So, the less able students incurs a higher level of anxiety from testing than capable ones. Okay? So, being similar with the type of test to be administered reduces anxiety. being familiar, kung alam na nila. So it is important the teacher will guide the students, will announce when will be the test, okay? And of course, the coverage has been discussed by the entire class. Okay? Test anxiety increases with grade levels. Okay, these are based on the study no conducted by Kirkland. And then although there appears to be no relationship between sex and anxiety among elementary school children, junior high school girls indicate that they experience more anxiety than boys at comparable level. Siguro kasi mas emotional po yung mga girls natin. Okay? So, anxiety in testing can be demonstrated in nail biting, pencil tapping, and squirming. Okay, as you can see in the picture, okay, it shows no, it shows that students are showing anxiety. Okay, so the following suggestions may help motivate students prepare for and take examinations without creating unnecessary anxiety. Okay, first, emphasize tests for diagnosis and mastery rather than means of punishing students who fail to live up the expectations of the teachers or parents. Okay? Kasi may ibang mga teachers na pag masyadong maingay yung classroom, nagbibigay agad ng surprise test. Okay? So it should be focus on the purpose of the test should be the mastery rather than punishing the students. Okay, next, avoid a sudden death examination. Keep in mind that passing or failing is a function of one test only. Okay, and write personal notes on each examination paper, encouraging students to keep up the good work or exert more effort. Okay, this is very important also know that you have to inspire or you have to motivate more your students by giving some personal notes on their paper. Okay, be sure each item has face validity. Items measure some important aspects of life as perceived by the students. And avoid unannounced examinations. Dapat alam ng mga students natin na when is the test. Okay? Okay, so there are scheduled personal conferences or dialogue on students as often as possible to reduce anxiety and redirect learning. Okay, this is called also the sandwich approach. Okay, so emphasize more strength, not on deficiencies. Okay, kasi madi-discourage sila. Okay, you focus on their strength. Do not emphasize competitive examinations when some students are unable to compete. Kasi mapipressure itong mga students na ito if they cannot compete with their classmates. Treat each student's grade confidentially. Okay, wag mong i-post, wag mong i-share sa iba yung mga grades nila. Okay? Allow students to choose among activities of equal instructional value. Okay? And third is the ethical testing principles. So tests presume an ethical, responsible attitude on the part of the examiner or the teacher and a desire to cooperate on the part of the students. As in social interactions, mutual trust and respect must be developed. Okay? And there are relevant to testing are the following ethical principles. First, confidentiality. This regulates or control legal or lawful access. Who shall have access to the test result? Okay, so several considerations such as the security of the test content, hazards of misunderstanding, results on the need of various persons to know the results influence the answer in particular situations. Individuals have the right to know their test results, and for their purpose, the results must be free of technical labels, readily understandable, and oriented toward immediate testing. So for test security, tests are professional instrument, and as such, their dissemination is restricted to those with technical competence to use them properly. No standardized test should be left unsecured. Okay, dapat they are secured. Okay, because uh, let us avoid no na may mga leak na mangyayari kasi it will be unfair to those who will take the exam. Okay? So test score and interpretations. This should only be available to individuals who are qualified to use them. Test results should be interpreted to parents in a manner that will ensure against misuse and interpretations. Okay, so let's be open to parents, no, with the performance of our students. Test publication. So standardized test should provide a manual or technical or handbook describing how the test can be used most effectively and who may use it. Advertisement about test results should be factual and descriptive, but not emotional persuasive. Fourth is the ethical testing practice. It is both ethical and advantageous to inform students in advance that they are about to take a test and to tell them something about the nature of the test. Yes, what are the type of tests that you will be giving? Okay, it is important that the students will know about it. Okay, so they should also be told of the advantages of taking the test and where the results would be used. Next, teachers should explain the mechanics of taking a test and practice the students on how to fill out an answer sheet, making heavy marks and erasing marks completely. It is, however, essential that the teacher does not make their question available. Okay, wag naman isabi mo na lahat yung mga questions mo. Okay? It is perfectly proper to try to motivate students to do as well as they can as they are not threatened or made anxious about their performance. It is also essential that all testing materials and results be kept secured before, during, and after testing. It is ethical to combine classes for testing as long as there are adequate proctors to safeguard the test and make sure the students are following instructions. The ideal ratio is one proctor to a maximum of 30 students. So kaya pala pag nagtitake tayo ng exams like the English proficiency test or the board examinations, ito talaga yung ratio na sinusunod nila. One proctor to a maximum of 30 students. So once an examination has been administered and scored, it is permissible for the teachers to examine results and determine the areas of the students' weakness. Kasi dito natin malalaman ano yung mga bagay na ah, weakness ng mga student natin. Ano yung mga area na hindi pa nila masyadong naintindihan. Okay? So, unethical testing procedure to tutor students on a specific subject matter of an expected examination. That is unethical. This destroys the standardized procedures of test administration and distorts the meaning provided by the scores. Another, to use or give a test item from any part of the test in which only a word or phrase has been changed. Still in the unethical testing practices, to construct or use any practice form that is similar to actual test items to reflect the situations, options, or conditions of the original questions. To copy and or distribute the test before the scheduled date of the test. Okay, unethical po ito. Okay, for teachers to use standardized test or mandated testing programs for their examinations. Similarly, it is unethical to use standardized tests as instructional materials. So, bawal pala. Okay? Yung standardized test na yung ginagamit natin as our instructional materials. Bawal po. Okay? To exclude some students from participating in tests, even though the teachers expect them to do poorly, nor it is ethical to exclude the whole class if they are low achievers. Okay, bawal din, no? Yung ini-exclude natin yung ibang mga students. Dapat kasi fair yung pagbibigay natin ng mga test. Okay, another unethical practice to allow students to use false records, identifications, papers, unauthorized identification cards, or computer access to official school documents. Okay, to alter the directions, time limits, and scoring procedures. Bawal po ito. It's unethical, okay? To neglect the instruction of one student, not just to increase the test score of the other pupils. Okay, this is not fair. Okay, to try to improve students' performance by developing items parallel to those on standardized tests. To create anxiety and rivalry about standardized tests among students and between classes and schools. Examinations are not contests, should not be treated as such. Okay, so realistically speaking, when we say examinations, parang na parang ang pagkaintindi ng mga students is they are competing. Sino po ba yung mas magaling? Okay? Now, another unethical practice to accept gratuities, gifts, or favors that might impair or appear to influence professional decision or actions regarding student testing and scores. So halimbawa, bigyan si teacher ng gift para ibigay advance yung mga test questions. It is unethical. Okay? To disclose information about students obtained in the course of testing, unless disclosure serves as compelling professional purpose or required by the school. Okay, is unethical. Okay, so that would be all. Thank you so much for listening.